for the Soul presents Intimate Conversations with Talitha Cumi, and I am your host, Talitha Cumi. And I want to start the show off today with a quote that I found online from Hippocrates, which says, "Healing is a matter of time, but it sometimes is also a matter of opportunity." And we are coming to you live from the beautiful downtown Dallas. And I think that for today's show, I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of insight of how Food for the Soul Presents actually came to be. And so a couple of years ago, probably about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, God put it on my heart to start a nonprofit for women. And so I'm trying to think of what kind of nonprofit I can start, because I didn't want it to be too churchy. I wanted to be able to reach women outside of the church, because I knew that those were the women that were my tribe, or those were the women that I knew that I could directly affect. And so I started an organization called Fat by Design, with the acronym of FAT being Fashion, Arts, and Transformations. And so I kind of wanted to just marry the things that I was passionate about, which is fashion, the performing arts, and just kind of seeing people transformed. Excuse me. And so I started the group. I had about maybe 10 of us ladies, and we were just trying to figure out how to get the word out, kind of how to try to let people know that we were here, and kind of to get people to join the movement, so to speak. And so somebody suggested that we do an internet radio show, which was on THA, the After Party with Montana. Shout out to Montana. And excuse me. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I call this radio show? I didn't want to call it Fat by Design, but I wanted to call it something that had purpose, or that had meaning. And so I came up with Food for the Soul with the Fat Girls. And we stayed on the radio, I want to say maybe 2 years. I think we just left the radio last year. So we were on the radio for 2 years, talking about everything from fashion, arts, and transformations. And what we noticed was an influx of internet shows starting, and people kind of trying to do the same thing. So you see this trend of, now everybody wants to have a talk show, and everybody wants to talk about positivity, and everybody wants to talk about women's issues and different things like that. So I was trying to figure out a way that we could be different and stand out. And I decided, well, you know what? YouTube is kind of blowing up. Why not do our own YouTube show? And so in transforming over to YouTube, or to actually being live, because we wanted people to be able to see us and see our guests, I changed the name to Food for the Soul Presents. And that was basically just because I wanted to have an array of shows that dealt with everything from music to events, to arts and entertainment, to actually my show, which we're talking about today, Intimate Conversations, which is I'm trying to give women a chance to heal, trying to give women a platform to be able to share and to vent and to talk about their stories. So Intimate Conversations is a show that needed to be birthed. I have often been afraid to share my gift, and knowing what your gift is and what your purpose is makes life so much easier, but it's also scary at the same time, because you know that God is expecting more from you than what maybe at that time you're willing to do. And so Intimate Conversations has been on my mind for years, and it actually started out with my name, believe it or not. So my name is biblical, and my whole name is Talitha Cumi, which is found in Mark chapter 5, verse 41, where a little girl was sick, and actually she died. And I think her parents didn't know that she had passed away, but God came in to heal her. Jesus came in to heal her, and he spoke these words, Talitha Cum, or Talitha Cumi, which means, little girl, I say to you, arise. And I think that with my parents not even knowing, possibly not even knowing that would be my destiny, it's kind of like they birthed this in me, the Talitha Cumi movement, so to speak. And my wanting to help women have a voice, to help women to be able to arise from the dead and to walk in their purpose or to walk in their newness and to be able to help them with their obstacles, trials, different experiences, different things that they're going through, for us to kind of just be able to kind of talk it out. And so that's what I wanted Intimate Conversations to be. I wanted it to be a platform where women could come, share their stories, a place of non-judgment, a place of camaraderie, a place of unity where we could kind of help women like myself to kind of put pieces of their puzzle together, missing pieces of their puzzle together. If anybody knows, women, a lot of times we are so busy being mothers and daughters and wives. A lot of times we forget to be just a woman. And I feel like we need to be able to vent. We need to be able to share our stories, because there may be women out there who are going to say, girl, I'm going through the same thing, or I went through the same thing, or, let me help you walk this thing out. And so that's why Intimate Conversations was birthed. So with me saying that I am Talitha Cumi, I think that it was apropos that I share with you all my story of how I came to be, and I kind of some of the struggles and obstacles that I'm going through. So it's funny because I often tell people or women that I meet that I have liked boys, or I was boy crazy from like the age of 5 or something. Like kindergarten, I remember chasing this little boy around the playground and trying to get him to like me. And so I think that from an early age, I had a weakness for, I think that boys or men kind of became my weakness, so to speak. I had my first boyfriend at age 16, and I was so in love, thought I was in love anyway. And fast forward to age 17 when I ended up losing my virginity. And that was a traumatic experience for me. I remember after, we were done and everything, I remember my boyfriend at the time, I remember him throwing me my clothes and telling me that he needed to take me home afterwards. There was no love, there was no caring, there was none of that. It was like after he got what he wanted, it was kind of like I was an afterthought. And so I remember that. Fast forward to age 21, and I remember that was the time when I feel like I truly met the love of my life. His name was Sean Hampton, and we were inseparable. I mean, that was like my like I lived and breathed this dude, like really. And we went together. I think we dated for about a year, I guess, kind of on and off. And he made me feel so special until one day, I'll never forget, I found out that I was pregnant, and we were in school together. We were going to college together. And when I came to him, I told him I was pregnant. He decided at that point that the relationship was just too much for him. So here I am, age 21. I'm pregnant, and the love of my life is telling me that he doesn't want to have anything to do with me. And that was my first attempt of suicide. I felt like if I could not live with him, that I didn't want to live at all. And I surely didn't want to have a child, a baby. I was in school, and I was the president of the African American Students Club, and my father's a preacher, and I felt like I should have known better. And so I ended up having an abortion, and that was that time period. My first husband, what can I say about him? He was really handsome, great job, tall guy, really, really sweet. But I feel like I married him out of convenience, or I married him because I knew that he was safe. I didn't I didn't feel at all for him like I felt for Sean. Like Sean was the last boyfriend I had before I met my husband, my first husband. And going through our marriage, we lasted for probably about, I think we lasted for about 5 years. I started to have like these crazy dreams, like reoccurring dreams about Sean and different things like that. And and then like a year into our marriage, or right before we got married, found out that my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And then maybe 3 or 4 months into our marriage, my mother actually passed away. And so I started having these reoccurring dreams about Sean and my mom and all these things, and I was devastated. I was devastated losing my mother, seeing everything that my father was going through, because they were together for like 20, 24, 25 years. And I think that that's probably where I kind of got stuck. I feel like marrying him was a way for me to never feel how I had felt about Sean. If you get what I'm saying, I didn't want to ever experience that hurt ever again, and so marrying him was the safe thing to do. Um, he was a sweet guy, but in marrying him for that reason, because I didn't truly love him like I felt like he loved me, I ended up leaving him, and I really, really hurt a man that I really believe really loved me, really loved me. After that, I just decided to just date, do me, no strings attached, no emotional ties. And so for like 8 years, I was just out there just turning up. It wasn't turn up back then, but I was just wilding out. It was back then, wilding out. And 8 years into all of that, I ended up meeting my second husband in Dallas, Texas. And what was funny about my second husband was that I was instantly attracted to him. Now, those that know me, I'm not the type of person who, in relationships, I never cared about what a person looked like. I was always more concerned with my mental or my spiritual connection with him. Like, do we connect? And with him, I think I had both. I had the attraction, and then I had the connection. And shortly into our relationship, his mom ended up having a brain aneurysm, and she almost died. And so after that, and then they found out she had cancer. And then after that, I felt like, okay, well, God, maybe you allow my mom to get cancer so that I could be here for my husband now that he's going through what he's going through with his mom. And with that experience, it caused him to start getting high, smoking weed a lot. And it became like an addiction for him. He was like smoking weed 2, 3, 4 times a day. And it started to be a problem. So I suggested counseling and different things like that. Even talked to my dad about trying to counsel us, and he just wasn't hearing it. And so after a year of dating, a year of marriage, he decided that he no longer wanted to be in the marriage. And it was funny because I remember right before he left, I remember like at one point, I remember getting on my knees and pleading with him and begging him to let me fix it, to let me figure out how we're going to make this thing work. And he left anyway. And so that was really, really hard for me. That was really hard for me because in some ways I think that I felt like it might have been karma, or it might have been, me reaping what I sowed because of how I left my first husband. So after him, things got bad. Things got really bad for me. Um, so fast forward to after my divorce, to my second husband, I remember telling my dad that I felt like a failure. Like I felt like a two-time failure with two failed marriages. And I was like telling my dad, like, I'm never, ever, ever going to get married again. I'm just going to, if I want to be with somebody, I'm just going to live with them. And imagine me telling my dad, the pastor, I'm just going to live with somebody. And so after he rebuked me real good, um, I, uh, I decided to, I guess, kind of be open to possibly, or the possibility of meeting someone. And it's so funny, like God, I feel like God has a sense of humor, because I really was not looking. I really, really was not looking. And God sent me Bobby Damond Orlando Burris, 12 years my junior. And a lot of people don't know that. But I was actually meeting Bobby to hook him up with a friend of mine. Like, I wasn't even trying to date. I wasn't even trying to date him like that. And we ended up talking like all night, and we ended up just kind of having a whirlwind type of relationship, and ended up getting married. And it has been, don't get me wrong, it has been the best 6 years of my life. We're going on 7 years next year. And my experiences before then have started to kind of seep in to my marriage now. And a lot of times I think when people say, when people talk about soul ties, and people talk about, what you do as a young person, how it's going to affect you as you get older, you really, really don't understand the repercussions of the decisions you make then, and how they can affect you now. So with Bobby, he's awesome. He's amazing. I feel like he's my equal in every way, even though there's such a big age difference between us. But it's hard. I feel like being divorced twice has made me so jaded, and so afraid to connect. And I'm saying, like, really connect to him. A lot of times I think the issues that we have, I'm finding it difficult to give my entire self to him. And in some ways I feel like it's because pieces of me are like all over Dallas, or all over wherever, whomever I dated. And so I'm finding a hard time with the balance. Showing him that I do truly love him, showing him that he's the only one for me, or showing him that he's enough, and not putting all of my past hurts on him to try and fix them, or to try and solve them, or to try and make me whole. So that has been it's been a real task for me. And I'm just kind of walking through it. We're just kind of trying to feel things out. And like I was saying, I wanted the show to be about me, because, not only am I trying to help women, I need help. I need somebody to come alongside of me to kind of help me on my journey in this, because it's not easy, you guys. It's not easy being married, for one, and then it's not easy being on your third marriage, when they say that the divorce rate is so high, and on your third marriage, like, third marriages are not even supposed to last at all. And so that's my story. My story is that Talitha Cumi, who is Talitha Cumi, I am a third-time divorcee, or a two-time divorcee, a third-time wife. I am super dramatic, but I'm also empathetic, and I really care about doing things with a purpose. I am a Christian. I believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I just want to help people. I want to be able to help people like me have conversations, have the hard conversations, and be real about the conversation, not be afraid or ashamed to share our stories. Because like I was saying, sometimes people might be going through the same thing, you're going through, but it just takes that one person to open up and share. Join us on our upcoming fourth Thursday show when we will be talking to CEO Stephanie Lowe of the J29 Experience, a service-based divorce resource center focusing on encouraging, liberating, healing, and growing women and their families after divorce. So until next time, have an intimate conversation with God, your creator. Talk to him. Let him guide you, heal you, and direct you. And we are just here for a support system to be able to help you walk through this journey. And remember, tears are words that need to be written. So share your story because somebody might need to hear it. Till next time. Good night.
My whole life seems like I've been searching, always coming up short, much less than perfect, but everything I need is all inside me. Before you walk, you gotta crawl.